Hey everyone, it's Chris, and I've been going over the subclasses that we've gotten in the new Unearthed Arcana. That's going to be for the new Forgotten Realms supplement coming out later this year. And there is a survey opening up for these on February 4th. So if you would like to give your feedback to the designers, they might make some changes that you would like to see. They have shown in the past that they do read these and they do make changes based on our suggestions. So if there's something you see here that you really like or you really don't like, let them know. And, I'm not going to tell you what to think. I'll give you my opinions. If your opinions differ from mine, still let them know. And today we're going to be going over the Oath of Noble Genies, which is a new Paladin subclass. It is a very powerful subclass. Now, thematically, I would say it is very reminiscent of the Genie Pact or the Genie Patron for Warlocks. So in both cases, we're getting our power from the Genie kind. And it says here, on Faerun, many paladins who swear this oath hail from Calimshan, a land rife with Genie kind. And when I talk about Forgotten Realms, I like to talk about Sword Coast, because I assume most of us are familiar with the Sword Coast. So if you think of the Sword Coast, Calimshan is to the south of the Sword Coast. They do a lot of trading with the Sword Coast. And it's a very mercantile country. And yes, it is rife with Genie kind. This is not new lore. This has always been the case. In fact, in the previous edition, they had mentioned that 1/2 of the population of Calimshan are Genasi. So 1/2 of their population can trace their lineage to genies, or one of the genie types, whether it's a Freedy or Mirrid or whatever. So it makes a lot of sense to have a genie-based subclass, tied to Calimshan. And if I was making a paladin who was from Calimshan, this is definitely a subclass I would consider. So let's go over the features, and as I mentioned, expect a lot here. This is very, very good. Okay, so we start with Elemental Smite. And it says, immediately after you cast Divine Smite, you can expand one usage of your channel divinity and invoke one of the following effects. So note this is not free, right? If you are casting Divine Smite, you must also expend your channel divinity. So we're using an extra resource. And we have 3 options. We have Dow's Crush. The target has the grappled condition. And while grappled, the target has the restrained condition. This has no saving throw. So you hit somebody, you apply your Divine Smite. Remember, Divine Smite could be applied for free. Paladins can do it once per long rest for free. And otherwise, it's a first level spell slot. And they are automatically restrained, no saving throw. That is really, really good. And I would say worth a channel divinity. Then we have Genie's Escape. You teleport to an unoccupied space you can see within 30 feet of yourself and take on a mist-like form, which lasts until the end of your next turn. While in this form, you have immunity to grappled, prone, and restrained. And so if you are already grappled, prone, and restrained, you could use this, and suddenly you're not. Also, we're essentially getting like a Misty Step on top of the bonus action that we're doing for the Divine Smite. I also think this is very good. And then we have Afridi's Fury. The target takes an extra 2d4 fire damage. This is not all that interesting, but if you want to do more damage with your Divine Smite, especially if you're like applying it to a critical hit or something, then this would become 4d4. That's like 10 extra points of damage. That's something. Whether it's worth your channel divinity, I guess it depends on whether you're really focused on doing as much damage as possible, then maybe. I don't think this is as good as the first 2. Then Mirrid Surge. This one's a miss for me, and I'll explain why. The target and each creature of your choice in a 10-foot emanation originating from you make a strength saving throw against your spell save DC. On a failed save, the creature is pushed 15 feet straight away from you and has the prone condition. Now, the 10-foot emanation means that it's not just the creature you hit with the Divine Smite, it's all around you and they all get pushed. But thematically, this is really similar to Thunderous Smite, which is a first level spell which you might do in place of Divine Smite. Is this different enough to have an entirely separate feature for? I don't know. I do kind of get the thematics, because the Mirrid is the one that's water-based, so I assume we're thinking of like a wave, crashing wave, pushing creatures, so I get it thematically. I'm just thinking, We kind of have something that does something similar already. And if we go to Genie spells, we're going to see that Thunderous Smite is one of the ones we automatically get. So at level 3, we'll already have Thunderous Smite. Do I want to spend a Divine Smite and a Channel Divinity to do what Thunderous Smite does, except we can push maybe additional creatures? Maybe, but it definitely makes it less interesting, right? I think. We have some other notable spells here. Mirror Image is very nice for Paladins. Fly is something Paladins normally don't get. Very nice. And, of course, Conjure Minor Elementals. Not surprised to see it here, but this is already an infamous spell. Obviously, this is a good list. And then level 3, we get another feature. And notice there's no ribbons here. Like, our level 3 features. Elemental Smite is good. Genie Spells is good. Genie Splendor, very, very good. When you aren't wearing medium or heavy armor, you gain a bonus to your armor class equal to your charisma modifier. I assume the point of this is that, genies, generally speaking, if you imagine a genie, they're bare-chested, right? So they're not wearing medium or heavy armor, so maybe their paladins don't wear medium or heavy armor either. Mechanically, this is fantastic because, I've already discussed and done calculations for 2-weapon fighting paladin that focuses on dexterity, and it works reasonably well. And if we were to make a dexterity-based paladin, and then add our charisma modifier as well, we're probably adding, depending on our level, eventually up to a +10. We're probably starting at a +6. And we can wear light armor. So we can wear studded leather. So now we're looking at anywhere from +8 to +12 on top of 10. So at 3rd level, when I get this, if I have a +3 dexterity and a +3 charisma, and I put on studded leather armor, I have 18 armor class with no shield and no magical benefit, right? Magic items would just push it higher. If I can get to 20 in both ability scores, which I very well might as a paladin, then it's 10 + 2, that's 12, that's 22. 22 base armor class before magical benefits. With no armor, or light armor, I should say. We're wearing studded leather. That's exceptional. Exceptional. And if you didn't want to wear armor, then I guess you would want to do mage armor, right? So you'd want maybe Magic Initiate or maybe a dip into Sorcerer, grab mage armor, and then it's even one higher. So this is a very, very powerful feature. Much better than like unarmored defense for monks or for barbarians, in my opinion. So this is a very powerful feature. 3 really good features, all at level 3. By the way, here's the ribbon. You also gain proficiency in 1 skill of your choice: acrobatics, intimidation, performance, or persuasion, which is fine, but that's the ribbon. That's the second part of Genie Splendor, by the way. It's just that the armor class thing is so huge, it's easy to forget the second part. So at level 3, this subclass gets a ton of really good stuff. Then at level 7, we get Aura of Elemental Shielding. Choose one of the following damage types: Acid, Cold, Fire, Lightning, or Thunder damage. You and your allies have resistance to that damage type while in your Aura of Protection. And at the start of each of your turns, you can change to one of the other damage types. No action required. Now, there is already a Paladin subclass that gets something kind of similar to this, and that is the Oath of Ancients. But they do like Necrotic and Radiant. So here we're doing, it's Necrotic, Radiant, Psychic, I think. So these are different damage types available. Now we're only doing 1 damage type, but all of these are available, and we can change at the start of our turn. So if we're going up against something that we would assume is going to do fire damage, we can just switch to fire damage at that time. I think this is pretty good. Then level 15, I should say, I think this is pretty good, but well in line with what other paladins get at level 7. Level 15, Elemental Rebuke. This one is just really good. When you are hit by an attack roll, you can take a reaction to have the attack's damage against yourself rounded down. So you were going to take 50 points of damage, now you take 25. Use your reaction. And you force the attacker to make a dexterity saving throw against your spell save DC. On a failed save, the attacker takes damage equal to 4d10 plus your charisma modifier. The damage is one of the following damage types, same damage types. And you can do this a number of times equal to your charisma modifier per long rest. Now, rogues get a similar thing, right? At level 5, yes, they get Uncanny Dodge, which does a similar thing. It doesn't do damage, but also isn't limited in uses. I don't see you using this more than 5 times in a day. I don't think the limited uses make a difference. I think this is just Uncanny Dodge, but better. And then level 20, this is our capstone. Like most paladins, it's a bonus action. We're going to get a 10-foot improvement, enhancement. And in this case, what we're going to get is flight, 60 feet flight, and hover. That's exceptional. And minor wish. When you or an ally in your aura of protection fails a d20 test, you can take a reaction to make the d20 test succeed instead. Not use a reaction and they can re-roll. No. You use a reaction and you just make it. So you have to make a saving throw that was impossible for you to make. Well, I made it. Or my ally made it. Exceptional. Also, I'm thinking of a paladin. Paladins have their faithful steed. And let's say they have mounted combatant. And they get hit with an area of effect that does a ton of damage. Well, with mounted combatant, that steed gets a saving throw. If they make it, they take no damage. But they're never going to make it. But with Noble Scion, we can just have them make it. And they take no damage. So really nice synergy there. And if I think about these, I mean, I do think they're really fairly well genie-oriented. Minor wish and flight, obviously, with hover, that makes sense. The elemental stuff also makes sense because the various genie types have associations with these various types of elements. The genie spells make sense. The genie splendor, already discussed that. The elemental smite, I think, makes sense. This is thematic, and it is very, very powerful. Is it the most powerful paladin subclass? Yes, I think so. I think this is the most powerful paladin subclass, and that's why I think I would be surprised to see this hit publication as written. If you really want it to see publication as written, let them know. But this seems overtuned to me, so I would not be surprised to see it toned down before publication. So we'll have to see what the final version looks like. But I like it. It is very thematic. If I wanted to make a genie-oriented paladin, this thematically does the job and mechanically also does a fantastic job. So I like this subclass. And I'm going to have to think about what I'm going to tell them on February 4th because I don't know if I want a subclass that's more powerful than the others. Maybe the one nerf I would consider is maybe Genie Splendor. This one right here, the level 3. Maybe it should say that when you aren't wearing armor at all, right? Because, like I said, you would picture Genie bare-chested. So maybe the idea would be the paladin would be bare-chested and get this benefit, and it would still be very good because you are focused on your charisma for sure, and presuming you make this subclass probably dexterity as well. So I think it would still be very, very good. It would be as good as unarmored defense, right, for monks or for barbarians. So maybe that's something they could do to tone it down just a little bit. Otherwise, the armor class is going to be very good. But yeah, I like it. And speaking of I like it, in my next video, I am going to go over the new Ranger subclass. And it's good. There's a good Ranger subclass. So we'll be going over the Winter Walker in my next video. And I'll be, by the way, that should be released tomorrow. So as for today, I am going to sit back, relax, and have some fun. D&D is for everyone. Thanks, everybody. See you tomorrow.